Hi, everybody. This is the October 28th Ortelius architecture meeting. Let me drop the meeting link into the chat. So just a few highlights. We are making some pretty good progress with the service catalog. What we are running into is around the artifact hub and getting our Helm charts kind of consolidated. This is actually cloud build. So there's the meeting this evening, my time with Brad and Amit and a few folks down in the Australia area. So I think there's an issue with some of the consolidation of the charts. Hopefully we'll get that sorted out. One of the things that we did add for working with Artifact Hub is we added a new tag on the Ortelius repo. And one of the things that we found out for Artifact Hub is you can use GitHub pages to kind of host all the YAML and the artifacts themselves. So what we have is part of a GitHub action to go through and create and update our index set YAML file. And some of the other things it does is it creates a release over on the microservices and kind of pulls everything together. So this is where we'll be able to have, basically we're creating our own chart museum using GitHub pages. One of the things you'll see if we look at this code, the code tree, the GitHub pages is like a totally separate branch, and it only has a few commits. So what I did was I had actually went back in time to the initial commit in the repo, branched from there, so we had a minimal number of files, and that will allow us to do the GitHub pages. And the reason for this is the way the Git actions work, and also the artifactory.io setup. So this branch will never merge to the trunk, and it'll only be used for the maintaining the like this index at YAML. So just to let you know that that's out there. I think one of the things we're running into an issue with is getting this to be consolidated from multiple GitHub actions. I'll double check with Brad and his folks later today. But that's happening. What that's going to allow us to do is do a single Helm chart install. So Helm upgrade and give it like Ortelius, and it will go through and do all of the, find out where all the charts are and bring them down and do all the work. One of the things that we still do need is a parent Helm chart, and that includes the child Helm charts. So if somebody's interested in taking a look at that, I know it can be done. I just haven't done it myself on how to do a parent and children charts. But there is an issue out here. I think it's kind of buried in one of the other ones as part of the process. So that's going on with the artifactory, and that's also going to kind of play into how we set up like a shell script to go ahead and curl the shell script or do a wget, pass it through the command line sh, and go ahead and download and install everything. Trying to minimize the number of commands that we're going to utilize at that level. So if you're interested in working with some Helm stuff, there are issues out there pertaining to this. there's simple stuff. And like I said, there's going to be, I would say it wouldn't be overly complicated, but some extra stuff around the parent-child Helm charts that need to be created. Also, I believe that this methodology will fit into our local development environment. So if you have if you're running like Kind locally or Minikube, being able to pull from Artifact Hub and all that information, or our site, the Helm charts will make it easy to get up and going. So that's one of the speed bumps that we have right now, is getting everything streamlined, so it's easy to get going, just for your local environment. Also, if somebody's looking for an issue to fix, looking from Hacktoberfest stuff, there are some simple ones out there, like Trivi's having a timeout issue. I think we just need to add a flag to the GitHub action. That's going to be in a GitHub action. So there's a flag that we need to add to that. There's on our Google Cloud build, we have to add the application version. So Deploy Hub knows, right now it's not consistent. So we are creating weird application names and deploying, doing some extra deployments just because of that. So there's just a couple lines that we need to put into the Google Cloud build files. Some other things, we have Argo stood up, Captain stood up, and Sasha has a pretty good, some good movement on the diagram for our CI GitOps process. Let me see if I have it here locally. I was downloading it yesterday. Here's one. So this is a work in progress, and we are including this into the doc. This is like the dev stage of the process, laying out the steps, who's doing what as part of that process. So it's coming together really nice. This, like I said, this is the dev level, and then there'll be another page that's pretty close to this that will be for like a QA environment, and then for production. So look for this. I saw Sasha had some questions about updating the doc. He's having some problems with this Hugo server. So, but this will be part of the documentation, this diagram, which would be nice to give a visual representation of our the proposed GitOps process with Ortelius as part of it. So this is Ortelius, Argo, and Captain as part of it obviously GitHub. And then we have our cloud native developers here, our cat and dog folks. So this will get published out as part of the documentation, so we'll be able to have that. You'll be able to see this online as part of the process. So that's kind of exciting to have that happening there. And then Lukash, you want to give an update on how Captain's going?
Yes, Steve. So basically, I was looking into what we can develop using Captain APIs. So basically, I was looking at control plane APIs. So like Captain says, all the APIs that is required for getting every meta information from the Captain context. So there are like quite a lot of APIs that we can leverage to get every minute information. So currently I'm playing around with all those APIs, and also I tried with multi-repository application. So like I tried with application that has 3 repositories. So yeah, I'm like playing around with these applications
Nice.
currently.
And are those when they're called, Captain calls them microservices, right? That you write to as their plugin.
Yes, yes, they will be exposed as a different component.
Okay. And what are those written in? Are they Python or Go?
Yeah, so basically they are REST APIs. So like we can use any language for them. So
Oh,
currently I'm using Java.
oh, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, and do the REST APIs seem pretty easy to use, or are they overly complicated?
Like I would not say they are very complicated. It depends on our used cases because like there are a lot of APIs. So people can get confused like
Right.
which one to choose.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like I myself had to go back to talk to like 1 or 2 people from Captain itself to understand what is the difference between these 2 APIs and stuff.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so once our POC document is finished, so we can start start on particular use cases. So that would be much easier to work on.
Yeah. Yeah, because one of the things that we added to the diagram was for each step what it's going to kind of like what event it's going to listen for. Once that event triggers it, what it's going to do, and then it's going to send a complete that it completed it. From that was my understanding. It Captain kind of has this what you're going to listen for, and then I believe you could also add in additional events saying that like you're in the process of doing this, and then finish it. So from my understanding, it has some pretty fine-grained event statuses, so you can kind of really track where things are moving along.
Yes, Captain does has that. So like from the starting itself, whenever if Captain has started, so you can get multiple informations at different point of time. So that types of granularity is there in Captain.
Nice.
But we do have to see like how we can listen to a event. So let's suppose there is some change in Git repository. So how we can listen to that change? So we still have to figure it out.
Right. And the other question that came up, I think it was yesterday or the day before, when Sasha, myself, and Ujwal were talking, was if you have let's say you're going through this process for a shared component, and you deploy Argo, you go out and deploy that shared component to your dev cluster, that all the applications that consume that should start their quality gate off to check and run their quality gate against that new version of the shared component. So there was a question that came up around being able to broadcast a deployment across multiple, basically SLO files for Captain. And so that was one thing that we may need to look at down the road is being able to tell, we've done, Captain's monitoring, or looking at 5 applications, and we want to tell those 5 applications from a single point of the deployment process, go do your quality check and start off kind of like in the middle of the whole pipeline process. Because that's one of the nice things with events, that we should be able to pick up and do any of these steps at any point. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're looking at the APIs and how the events communicate.
Okay, Steve.
So that's moving along. I'm trying to think some other things that we will be. I haven't really come up with a term for it yet. Tracy, what are we going to call the the services like the RESTful API relationships? Did we come up with a name for that? I can't remember.
No, I've just been calling it service mapping right now, but I'm sure we can come up with something sexier than that.
Yeah. So one of the things that
We could call it supply chain.
yeah. So one of the things that I have started working on the deploy hub side was to bring in and this is where we'll need plugins, for lack of a better word. So what we have is like in a Swagger file, the Swagger file is going to give you all the RESTful API endpoints for a service. So that will allow us to look at a Swagger file and say, these are all the RESTful APIs that this service produces. So basically we know the verb, if it's a post or get, we know the URL, and we know which component version is producing those. So that's one side of the equation. So that's like the producing of the RESTful APIs. Now on the other side is we want to map up with who's consuming those RESTful APIs. Now this is where it becomes a little trickier because there's no such thing like as in Swagger where there's like a standard. So one of the things that we need to work on is being able to write plugins to scan source code, or help people, provide a framework for them to scan their source code to find any RESTful API calls that they're making, so we can figure out what that service is consuming. So, and then that just gets spit out into a JSON file. Now, what this allows us to do is map producers to consumers. And then if you have, microservice A calls B, which calls C, which calls Z, we can follow that path all the way across through and map it all out at that level. So that's something, once we get the service catalog out, that we'll need to take a look at. And I think it may not be too bad. There's a limited number of methods that can be used to go and make the RESTful API calls. There's gonna be a handful for Python and Java. There's gonna be a couple, especially like if you're in a Swing Boot world, you're gonna have certain standard methods to make the RESTful API calls. So that's something that we'll need to look at down the road to bring in this the producers and consumers world. So that's one thing that is going to be very exciting. We've had several companies start talking about how they want to map out their RESTful API calls. Now, the other thing that we'll need to look at as well is not only RESTful API calls, but also like a pub sub methods, gRCP, those type of things down the road. But we'll start with REST since Swagger is easy to parse. And the reason why we're doing this upfront versus looking at open telemetry is we want to gather this information ahead of time so we can tell, like an SRE, here is a change coming down the pipeline. We just broke backward compatibility on the a RESTful API call. who's affected by it. So they know who to keep an eye out for. So we want to be proactive in this mapping instead of reactive. I think that was basically what I had on my list for today. Anybody else have anything? Did I miss anything?
I was late. Did you cover anybody with Hacktoberfest?
We kind of did with Hacktoberfest. We have a couple low hanging fruit issues out there that we just need to get those wrapped up. And if you're looking for any issues that you want to get some credit for Hacktoberfest, just ping me on Discord and I can point you to the issue and help you through it. The month's running out already. 3 more days. Alrighty. Well, thank you everybody for joining today, and we will, if you're interested and if you're awake, we will have the GitOps meeting with myself and the folks in Australia, 4:30 p.m. my time, 8:30 a.m. Sydney time. And also I believe Brad is doing some a different schedule to as well to help accommodate everybody. Alrighty, thank you everybody, and everybody have a good day.
Thanks.
Have a great day. Bye all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.